what I observed in all of that was how far removed what we do is from most people. Like with this folk music is about voice, it's about instruments that are simple to play and manipulate and that can be taught in an oral tradition, like the basic flutes and the pipes and the drums. And, it's part of the fabric of the community. Whereas classical music being this, are we the height of culture or actually are we just the height of elitism and excess? Right, and I know I'm gonna take a bit of a flamethrower because I want us to be different than everybody else, and I want us to be for people.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm glad that everyone has had some reason to smile this week, and also I think all of those stories brought lots of other people extra smiles. So we've had like 23 minutes of smiling already so far today, which is good. We are going to today continue on with our exploration of world music, and so for the next part of the rehearsal, we're going to do two things. So one, I'm just going to try and be fancy here and do some screen sharing. Hang on. So for those who were not here last week, what we did last week was we went off into breakout rooms and each group investigated a type of music from another culture that they didn't know anything about. And there was a whole bunch of different questions that everyone could choose to answer, and then we all came back and presented and learnt a lot in a very short space of time. So what we're going to do today is something a little bit similar, but we're going to focus more on the listening, because we got to hear people's kind of what they learned and observations about, what instruments are used, or, whether there's dance involved in the culture, but we didn't get to hear much music. So today, the way we're going to do it is we're going to hear lots of different types of music. So bear with me here. So it should say week 2, not week 1. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go off into groups again, and we're going to have 15 minutes, and your group is going to choose a musical culture to focus on. And probably don't want to take too long to do that. It might be one that you started looking at last week. It might be a completely different one. If you're stuck for ideas, Google. I'm sure you'll find something. And as a group, you want to find a recording of that style of music. And then get someone in your group to screen share. And I'm pretty sure all the permissions should work for everyone to be able to do that in their breakout rooms. So if you can all kind of find a recording together and then listen together, and then make some notes about what you heard, what was interesting. There's kind of no rules here. So if you go, oh my gosh, I loved that instrument, I have no idea what it's called, it looks like this, and it had a really twangy sound, great. We are not looking for
a dissertation,
a musicological dissertation here. Or if you just think, oh, this was really cool sounding, or oh, that sounded like nothing I've ever heard before. There's no rules. We just want your observations. So at the end of that 15 minutes, we're going to come together, and then we're going to share all of the recordings. So if some of them are long, we might not get to hear the whole thing, but we'll hear at least a part of it. So we should, by the end of this first part of the rehearsal, have heard from kind of like 5 or 6 different musical cultures, which will be really cool. And then if you can kind of share your observations with the group, and getting everyone to speak, even if it's just, I thought the twangy thing was cool, great. But getting everyone to speak and have a voice. And then after that, what we're going to do is then get everyone back in their breakout rooms again, and your job is going to be, can you find someone who is an expert in that type of music either in Melbourne or somewhere else, that we could get to come in, pay them to come in on a Zoom call and teach the whole orchestra how to play that style of music. Okay, so but we'll do that after we've come back together. So I am going to stop screen sharing and I'm going to send everyone out into their groups. So it's probably going to end up being, it's just completely random. So it'll be different groups to last week. Who wants to go first?
Since I forgot to mute myself, I'm in group 1 and we had a look at South Indian Carnatic music. And so I think I pronounced it right. Yeah, anyway, so pretty much, hang on, where's the link for that? You know, for my group.
Guy, can you just share it again?
Yeah.
Got it?
So yeah, pretty much my main observation was if we talk in classical music, Western music, compositional discussion, there's no real sense of harmonic change. It's just stuck on because there's a drone in a lot of performances, and so there's no real shifting. So I guess, you know, when they're singing, they're trying to create a feel sense of a real sense of like being just, you know, at peace, but potentially, because, you know, in music, when there's a key change, it really means progression. But when we stay in the same, you know, key, for example, if we feel a sense of stability.
Yeah, my observation was about the drone, so the big like stringed instrument in the back, which is called a tambura, and that's like part of the instrumentation is quite chamber, but you do have the drone for like the stable like harmony, and then you have the melody, which was the singer, and you've got your rhythmic bit, which was the tala, and yeah, that's my observation.
About the vocals, how like rich in harmony they are, and powerful, and especially that last bit. We'd only discussed sharing the bit that got faster, but then that was really short, and those vocals are really beautiful, so I let it play. I'll let someone else from my group tell their observations.
I found like out of the whole collection of songs that were in the clip, I found that so many of them had so many sounds going on at the same time, like lots and lots of instruments, all just like adding to this pizzazz.
Yeah, and going off that, I think no matter what tempo, like it's quite different, as you can see in that little bit. It just jumps around. It's obviously quite a variety of music, but it's always moving. Like there's always something going along, even if it's quite slow and dramatic. You get a sense that something's going to happen or it's moving, which I think is pretty cool.
I think my observations were similarly based on the vocals. There's always some sort of like clarity and purity to the vocals, and I think we had a brief look at like influences, and there seems to be like quite a large Indian influence in a lot of the music, and I think sometimes that shows through in the vocals and the instrumentation.
I think our group can go next. We kind of went in a sort of in the backwards order because, and it'll make sense in a second. Suching, the first thing Suching said was, oh, I was looking up the hurdy-gurdy, and then Meng Fei went, oh, hold on, and Meng Fei, have you got it there? There we go. So of course we had to look up this clearly, so we have, I don't know if we've ever really yet landed on what exactly it's from. I think it's the instruments kind of made its way through so many different cultures in Europe that over the centuries that it kind of is in a lot of European folk music. So and there is a lot of modern players of it as well. So you can find pretty much any type of music now played on this on YouTube, which is kind of fascinating.
So let me see how can I share. So actually, it's like when I open, if I think it's a toy, then actually you can, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there are two strings. one is like controlled by this kind of keys, so you can have a different pitch, and the other is like how to say, a statistic tune for when you play this. So that's why when you roll these rings, you can hear the harmony. But this one is a toy, because the real hurdy-gurdy maybe have 2 or 3 this kind of in one tune string, so that you can hear the harmony there, and maybe 2 or 3 strings are controlled by these keys. And for this, it's like, no, this one can't play, so it's just, so like, and here there is a button that when you press it, you can see like the string is like, it holds the string, so it will have a high pitch. So actually, although this one only has like one pitch, you can change it when you're playing. And also this handle is like, you can go clockwise or on the other way around. So I think it's a little bit like the violin. You can have the up bow and down bow. And yeah, so basically it's like this. And also this one is also quite like a violin instrument. Yeah.
Did you make it, Meng Fei?
Yeah, I made it because it's like, you can see it's a kind of a toy that it prints every wood board by laser cut. Then you can take it and you can make it by yourself.
Can you maybe either now or later send us a link?
For this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Guess what Ingrid will be doing in August? Making a hurdy-gurdy.
Okay. Thanks, Manfred. To add on to that, well, we were doing a little bit of research in our group on Wikipedia, not very deep. So it seems that the music that's played by hurdy-gurdy has that, because it has that drone, it's also played by bagpipes and similar instruments that have the drone in the background. So it's kind of flexible in that way. And from listening to that sample, it's the quite that medieval, almost like a C major, but not quite, in that music. So those are some of the observations I had. Someone else from the group?
I just had one. I had one interesting observation that you can't really tell from the really good videos because they don't do it. But if you look up some of the sort of busking or like pop covers, it's really hard to play. It looks like it's really hard to play repeated notes. It's like you can't articulate a repeated note very well. So there's a there's a video of a busker dressed as Darth Vader playing the Imperial March on the hurdy-gurdy, and it doesn't quite work because there's a lot of repeated notes in the Imperial March. But so I thought that was quite interesting. I'll find it again.
And also what I found was interesting was like the sort of the texture that the instrument can make, because it's sort of like a cross between a bagpipe, but also like it's also like a violin. But then it's also got those buttons there for the pitch change, and like all the sounds it could make from that. I just feel like it's really interesting, like really different from all the other instruments we usually play. Yeah.
Maybe it's going to be your next instrument, Priscilla.
So when we listened to that, I was actually kind of interesting, like, because it was very meditative, and so when I was listening to it, I thought, because when I'm playing like PS4, good examples relating to the PS4 today, it's very calming when the games get annoying. So I researched like what type of like musical instruments they used to like kind of create that type of sound. So what I found out was that most of their instruments kind of like the older ones, so not the instruments we use at VYSO now. So the stringed instruments are like the lyres, harps, and the lute. Wind instruments instruments called the shepherd's pipe and a double pipe. And percussion's sort of the same with like just drums, rattles, tambourines, bells and cymbals and that. So yeah, that's what I found about like the types of instruments they use to create that sound.
I'm just going to share how it feels when I hear those music. It was really, really nice. I enjoyed that. And it immediately comes to mind was the snake that just comes up and very, very calming, but you kind of just swing to it. It feels very voice-like, the way the music goes. It feels very voice-like and very fluid.
That was so awesome, everyone. How cool. So cool.
All right.
Thank you.
So welcome to 2 Minute Talents, everybody. So everyone that was in last week would have heard we've got this idea. We're going to get everyone in the orchestra just to showcase something they might be able to do that's slightly out there, slightly not musical, just so we can change it up, see some different sides to people. Maybe you see some things that we mightn't have seen before. So this week for our first one, we've got myself, Susan, Ramona, Sky, and Teresa. I might jump in then with mine. I was thinking about what I might be able to do that's not necessarily music related. And in doing a bunch of cleaning out of old stuff, I found this thing, which I did learn to solve many years ago. So I relearned how to do it again. And to teach you guys how to do it would take about half an hour. And on Zoom would be an absolute nightmare. So I thought I would just solve one and sort of talk through how I do it. And it should take roughly 2 minutes if all goes well. So I've pre-shuffled it already, so you can have a look. The first step that I'm going to do is make a white cross here. So I'll just do that, bear with me. And a lot of the bits have sort of different steps. So what you do for one bit won't necessarily correlate to the other bit. Hence why it would be impossible to teach it on Zoom, because everyone would be at different stages. So there's that. That's the first step. Then the next bit is to put the white corners in. So this isn't probably the quickest method you'll ever see. I think the current world record is like 5 seconds or something to solve one of these. Obviously, we passed that about 30 seconds ago, so we won't be doing that. So that's the first section done just like that. Next bit is to get this middle layer done. And the trick for that one is we're looking for pieces that don't have yellow on them, because they're going to be on the bottom, obviously. So you go through and look for those ones. I hope the sound isn't really terrible as well. This is a bit of a noisy cue, this one. It's actually a really good hand exercise, this one, because it takes a lot of fingers and muscles to get the things moving. So that's the middle bit done. So we're almost there. So we've just got this bottom bit to go. We're going to do the same thing again. So yellow cross. And again, this is one of those ones where what you do for the yellow cross is different to the white cross. So it doesn't actually use the same thing. There's that. Ignoring that one there. So that's the yellow cross in there. Next bit is to get these middle bits in. So you want to get those the right color first. Maybe a goal for me will be to find a quicker method for this. And when we come back at the end of all of these, I can do it in like 30 seconds. Wouldn't that be great? There we go. So you can see that they're all in the right spot now. The green, the red, the blue. Next bit is corners. There's always got to go. So we put them in the right spot first. So they don't have to be necessarily facing the right way, just as long as they're in the right spot. Bit of a slower bit, this one. So I think this method took me probably months to get the hang of, to finally get it to solve. The video itself was about 15 minutes, but it took so long to figure it out. So they're all in the right spot now, so you can see all the colors are matching up. So we've got orange, blue, yellow, sort of where it's in between. So then the last bit, you just put them in the right rotation. And this is one of those bits, once you learn these sorts of things, you don't even have to look at it. Like it's all just muscle memory once you get to that point. And there it is. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I'm not sure how long that was, but there we go. I might see if I can find the video for it. If people have Rubik's Cubes and want to be able to solve them, I'll find the video that I used, so that you can follow along with it. So there we go.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. That was so fun. Jumping on, oh, Misha's got a cat now too. Jumping on the...
Noodles is here.
Jumping on what Misha said, we were going to look at some mold out today and we ran out of time. So we might start with that next week of just doing a bit more of a deep dive into the orchestra music, and then we might do part 2 of some more world music stuff next week. And as always, if anyone's got ideas or suggestions for things for us to do, please send them along. And I'm just going to give you again the link for the white sheets. So any feedback, suggestions, musings, YouTube links.
Because it was really valuable last week to hear from like Meng Fei and Stephanie saying that the speed at which we were asking you to do written tasks was really challenging if English is not your first language. And that was something that we hadn't, obviously, you know, English is our first language, we hadn't thought about that. And so that helps us to adjust the plan for next week to make it less, like much more equitable for everybody to be their best and succeed in it. So yeah, if we're doing things that have got a challenge for something in your learning, let us know, because that's up to us to redesign the learning experience to get the same outcome for you, but in a way that's more accessible. Is that cool? Yeah.
Awesome. Have a great week, everyone. Rap out, rock out, play some Indian music.
Can Sky take us out?
Sure. Absolutely. All right.